true to what you said on paper.
I wish that I could freely dream and be judged from within, hunted by a power that cannot see past my skin. My views are viewed as ignorant, my truth always denied. My history is shrouded in a spider web of lies. Isn't this America? Or is this America all a lie?
Of the freedom of speech, somewhere I read. Of the freedom of press, somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right.
I cannot pledge allegiance to a country built on lies, or raise my children to believe they're equal in its eyes. My leaders are assassinated for speaking their mind. So justice never tilts my way. I thought that she was blind. Isn't this America? Or is this America all a lie?
Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop.
Good day. I am Denise DePina-Reed, co-host of At the Round Table with MAMLEO, a Massachusetts associate.
Haven't heard that voice in a while.
Who's that?
Denise.
Denise?
Yeah. Well, welcome back to At the Round Table with MAMLEO. I'm your host, Larry Ellison, in studio with my brother from another. My brother and my other brother, Dr. Bradley.
I don't think I want. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. There I am. This is a family affair.
Yeah, Dr. Bradley.
It's a family affair. So So to get back to what we were talking about, man. I mean, I thought. I'm sorry. What we got going on this?
No. I'm just get these
I'm sorry,
PSAs
bro.
out. We gotta acknowledge our sponsor.
Yeah, we gotta pay the bills, right? Gotta pay the bills.
There we go. I like your ambition there. I like your enthusiasm. We want to thank our sponsor, Guaranteed Rate Mortgage Company. For all your mortgage needs, give branch manager Corey Holbrook a call at area code 781-342-0252. Guaranteed Rate Mortgage is located at 75 State Street in downtown Boston. Guaranteed Rate Mortgage Company, guaranteed to exceed your expectations. You know, again, you want to join in this conversation this morning, 617-282-0685, 617-282-0685. Like you said, at our 9 o'clock hour, Ed Gaskins from the Grove Hall, Main Street. Thank you, Pastor. See, I said it got folks have go for all Main Street. Hey, folks, I apologize for it. I am not running on all.
Well, that's okay, brother. It happened to the best of us.
It's been a long week.
You wait till you get a little older.
No, okay. All right.
It'll be a common thing.
Is that what I have to look forward to?
You gotta look forward to it, Doc.
Just take me
It's
out
like,
now.
you're like, I had that thought.
But it's been a long week. You know, MAMLEO had their conference this week. It's very successful, but having been the president, it's very involved. It's very intense. Having people in from all parts of the country and trying to keep them, and just it's a lot. You know,
you're right. Try to keep them happy. Try to keep them content.
Yeah.
You know, make sure they're comfortable. Their quality of life is met. You know, and Boston can be a very good place to host, but it can be very challenging and it is extremely expensive.
Just trying to drive around. You're right. I mean, it is
what it is.
You know, even with the hotel discount rates, it's still close to $200 a night. I mean, that's a lot just to sleep. You figure that you can't check in before 4.
Yep.
You got to check out by 11.
And that's just $200 a night to sleep, not to eat and all that.
But here's the thing: it's not even a night. When you think about it, if you're only there for one night,
you're not even there for the 24 hours.
Right?
Less than 24. Less than 24 hours.
Right.
Yes.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, and then so out my way, there's a big thing because there's a big Army Navy game coming up in December, and with the immigrant situation, all of those hotels and little motels around there are all booked. So folks' reservations have been canceled.
Wow.
And there's been a big pushback from the military. So the governor's trying to address that, but folks are basically living in these hotels, and the taxpayers are paying for
footing the bill.
Yeah, because Massachusetts is one of those states where you have to give shelter. I get that, but it's almost like too. Like I said, in that regards to the immigration, we're encouraging. We don't have the infrastructure, and you're starting to see not just Republican. So maybe this was a winning strategy on the behalf of the governor of Texas of sending people to some of these states, because now you hear the mayor and the governor and the mayor in Chicago and the governor and the mayor of New York, who actually went to Mexico to try to see if they can get them to slow it down, but it's not slowing down.
So how do you think they can slow it down, though? I don't. What do you think? Just looking at the situation, what do you think they can do in America to slow it down?
Well, here's the thing. I think if it, because if you're passing through another country and you're seeking asylum, then you should, by law, you're supposed to apply to the first country that you come through, and we should enforce that. So if you're coming from Venezuela, I'm not saying you don't have a right to come and try and apply for asylum here, but if you're coming through Mexico, and that's where most of folks are coming from, if you're coming through Canada, then you should apply for asylum in the first country, and that's the law here, but we're not enforcing that. I think it would deter people because, okay, you're in Mexico, you have to hold. Now, if you want to apply to the United States, you do it from Mexico.
Well, but have you been to Mexico recently?
No, but here's the thing: it's the law. You don't get to choose, right?
I got you. I got you.
And that's I know why they're not. Believe me, I know. I wouldn't want to stop and stay there either. Right?
Yeah, I just came from recently. My wife and I went to Tulum and Cancun, and Tulum was about 75 miles from south of Cancun. Nice time.
Yeah.
Extremely hot. Hot to another level. I was very popular because of my skin tone. I was like, dude, it's okay. I mean, like, whoa, you're beautiful. Oh, it's okay. You know what I mean? But it's not, it's not a very beautiful place. It's beautiful, but it's not a good place to live in terms of poverty.
If you have the means, it's probably one of the nicest places. If you can live in a resort, or if you're near the water and you're in a nice gated community, it's nice. But if you're the average person, get it. That's why people are fleeing these places like Venezuela and those places. I understand that, but you also have to have a process and an infrastructure to. Also, because like the government in Chicago, they're sleeping in the police stations. They're sleeping on the sidewalks. Chicago is heading into the winter months.
Chicago's a cold place, Doc.
Okay,
you won't be sleeping there long. Right. Trust me.
And so that's what they're saying is that Governor Abbott is in Texas. He's sending them 5-6 busloads a day.
Well, I think one of the ways to deal with I do agree with you is that you should logically. If you think about it,
legal
and logically, you should apply to the organization, to the country that you first hit, and then apply from that country,
right.
And then you can also talk about the conditions in your home country, and so on and so forth.
Right.
Another way that we can do with it, we can use our worldly reach, because we have a mighty military to actually help deal with, not take it on, but assist in dealing with the economical issues that are causing the problem. Because as a father, and we're fathers, as a parent, I can't even begin to imagine what would actually bother me so badly that I would put myself and my family on the road walking 3,000 miles to get to refuge. What's happening in my home that will force me to do that? Right. It must be horrific.
Oh, the conditions are horrific. You're absolutely right. But those conditions now are becoming here because in these states, in Massachusetts, it's kind of been quietly embraced in a sense, but we're starting to see the effect of it is, the schools are now being inundated with more kids who they don't have the resources for. A lot of these children and their parents don't speak English, right? So we're not set up to deal with the influx in the way that it's coming. It's like, you have a leak at your house and you're trying to put some tape on there, and that's not even going to stop it, right? It's just going to explode, and we have to be realistic. And honestly, I have to say, because we're in Massachusetts, we're not in a border state, right? That it really has opened my eyes to how bad those border states are getting the influx. You see it from a different lens.
You do. You
have to appreciate it and be honest and say, this is what they've been talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. I never said in my arguments that we should not support those border states.
No.
I never, in my discussion of it, I was like, well, we need to make sure we have the resources there.
That's right.
But I'm saying that it need to be applied on all borders,
Absolutely.
on both sides of the border.
Right.
Not just look at Canada and say, well, you know what? All right, it's okay over there.
Right.
But we're going to apply that, because that in itself represents discriminatory behavior to me.
But I think you said something that really resonated, and you said it in a compassionate and empathetic way. Unlike Donald Trump and the Republicans, is they're not labeled. Most of these people are coming here because they want a better life for their family. As you said, as a parent, as a father, who doesn't want that for their family, right? You're willing to take that risk. But the narrative from most Republican conservative is that these are criminals. Like, these are only criminal people coming over the border. That's not the case.
Because they're looking at it from a political perspective.
That's right.
But, if you think about it, and I'm looking at it from my own family, my parents, my mother in particular said, I'm moving from Georgia because the conditions here are not very good for my children.
I like that where you're going.
So I'm moving to Boston, to Massachusetts, so my children could have a better future than I had. And now I'm a PhD because of that decision.
So, gentlemen, let's take it a little further. What you're saying. That's why I say I like feeding off of what you're saying, is that this is when black people were enslaved.
Yes, right.
They went from the south.
That way I'm going.
Right. That's what right.
Exactly.
They came to the north, right?
Yeah.
Because they figured, and this is in the United States. These are United States citizens, but they didn't see any opportunities in the south.
Because the places, the condition, the economic, the social condition was horrific. So a lot of them left walking, going through alligator, filled swamps to get to the north. And in fact, early in America, the Underground Railroad was actually going south to Florida, because Florida was owned by the Spaniards.
Okay.
All right, so if you can get to Florida, you were safe, and then America took it over. Now you had to go north, but our people did the same thing within these borders.
Right.
That's happening in South America. So when I look at that, I can say to myself, as a black man who understand my history, I can't be angry with them.
Right.
Because my parents did the same thing. My foreparents did the same thing.
617-282-0685. 617-282-0685. You're listening at the Roundtable with MAMLEO. What say you about this immigration problem? No, this immigration. It is a crisis here in the United States. Where do you weigh in? Do you think the United States should be taking in more people, or do you think we should be enforcing the law that says that the first country that you stop in, you must seek asylum in there? Now, Rose, I want to ask you, because your family, and I don't know if correct me if I'm wrong, your family's from Haiti.
That is correct.
Were you born in Haiti?
I was born here.
You were born here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so but you have family who are experiencing it, and it's Haitians as well. And in some instances, you see where some, like the government has said, okay, we're going to give priority to Venezuelan immigrants. And you have family, because like one of Eddie Crispin, who is last night at the banquet, his brother was able to get him here from Haiti, and I'm like, man, what a relief that must be, knowing what you know about what's going on in Haiti. How does that make you feel? You have family still there, right?
That is correct.
And they don't have, it's not as easy for them to get to the United States from Haiti.
No, and I'll just tell you this, okay? The immigration process is a business.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In Haiti,
explain that a little bit more for us.
So in Haiti, just to put in any country, in order to apply for immigration status, in order to come to this country, it costs you several $100s just for the application.
For the application.
Just the application. And then if you get the application, it doesn't guarantee that you're even going to get an interview or someone's going to read the application.
So let's break this down as you're saying it, because Dr. Bradley. So several $100s, and what is the average income?
Okay, so more money leaves.
In Haiti.
Again, with any country like Haiti, I don't know, like, as far as it's probably like 80% of their annual income for the average person in
right, because I'm hearing some people are making $4 a day.
Yeah,
this is why I wanted that, because if you look at it from a perspective of from Dr. Bradley's, well, $200 is not money. It's like that.
No, but for those people,
that's lunch.
I got a wife, man. I'm married.
Right. So that's why I want people to say, well, $200. You know, I pay. You know, maybe close to $100 for a passport, so that's not just unreasonable. But
again, I'm not even accurate with that number. It could even be higher than that. It could be like 500 or 800. But again, it's an exorbitant amount of money, and there's no guarantee that your application's only going to be processed.
But when you say it's 80% of the annual income, that says a lot.
Yeah,
$200.
So you almost have to have someone like a Eddie Crispin, who's here,
absolutely,
who's making money to sponsor you.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the thing. I'm going to bring out the fact that my parents came here legally. I was not an anchor baby. As a matter of fact, it's like my dad, when he came here, worked, purchased homes, was a landlord, and then it was the fact that he got sick one day and he realized he was here by himself. But while he was here, taking care of business, he was the one supporting his entire family.
That's common, right?
Yeah, it's common. Sending money back there, sending the kids to school. Like literally, like my dad, like we have like people, the doctors, engineers, and PhDs, and they all say thank you to my dad because he supported their education while they were down there. And when he went down there, got married, came back here with my mom, and then that's basically we were born here, but he basically was the one that would have to like money, resources, time spent to get them all over here, but they all came here very legally. Okay, and then so when he says, "Oh,
but
no,
he sponsored it. He sponsored them getting here."
Exactly.
Okay.
And then one of the things my dad stressed as soon as they got here was like getting education, whatever certification you had in the country over there in Haiti, try to get it over here because whatever recognition that you got over there is not going to be recognized here. And so as far as the process of coming into the country and people being indoctrinated, they put more hurdles and obstacles for you to come into this country, especially if you're coming from the southern hemisphere. And if we look at the history of this country, like after World War II, the influx of immigrants that came from Europe, and it was just like here, sign your name, boom, next, and move in. There was no question asked. But like as soon as like it's people from the southern border, people with our complexion, then there's an issue about like how many of them are coming in, and that's the thing too. Like you have an influx of people that lived in a predominantly black governed country. So the idea of like, being a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, it didn't seem that foreign to them. And they when they came here, they demanded those positions. They're like, no, you can't. Like, oh no. Like my mom, worked as a nurse when she was in Haiti. When she came here, she could only become a lab technician. And then so. And it was the funny thing is that she trained everyone in her department, including her supervisor. And then, so even after that, they didn't give her the position that she wanted, and so she had to sue the state of Massachusetts. And what they did was they compromised and they settled. They said, "All right, we'll just give you early retirement," but they wouldn't give her the position.
Wow, that's typical. That's just being a person of color.
Yeah.
One of the things that I told a young man who's pursuing a job on Wall Street, because I was at one point in my career, I was a Wall Street broker. I worked for several major.
He understands. That's a tough license to get, brother. It is.
So I had my Series 7, my Series 63, Series 3, and all that stuff. I relinquished it. I gave it up to go on the force because I didn't want to. It was boring to me. But at any rate, I had a similar situation where I trained people. And in anticipation of getting a job, but they told me, well, we can't give you the job. We give it to this guy because his father worked here. You understand how that works, right? And so I really didn't sue them because I was going on the police force anyway, right? So I was talking to a young man about becoming a broker, and I said to him, in America, as a man of color, you have to always be willing to remake yourself. Redo yourself. Be flexible enough to redo yourself. And what I mean by that, you have to have the education, because when you hit that brick wall, and you will hit it because of what you look like, you got to be able to bounce back and restructure, redo yourself, and go around it.
Yeah.
So
and that's what happened.
So what do you gentlemen say when people were saying, well, when they were able to bring black people here for free or bring people here for free labor, they had no problem with hundreds of thousands, right? Because it was a financial benefit in this country to have free labor. Now, folks are coming here and there's a cost affiliated with having to take care of them and provide for them. It's a whole different. The welcome mat has been turned over, and matter of fact, it's been removed.
No, but it's like when you have immigration, it actually boosts the economy. It actually stimulates the economy because, like, for every person that moves in, you're creating 5 jobs.
Well, but not only that, this summer was, it was a huge, good job numbers that came out yesterday. Over 300,000,
355,000.
Right, jobs were created, and even with that, there's still a lot of jobs that Americans won't take in the service industry and hotels, and so there is a need for folks to work.
I was just when we were at the MAMLEO event or the Faith and Blue event, the lady was telling us like she couldn't even get dispatchers, she can't get call center people,
right?
Like jobs that are starting pay is $70,000 a year.
It's $100,000 for dispatchers in Boston now.
Right. Really? Yeah, and she still can't fill those positions.
They're doing that well.
Yeah, their new contract.
Yeah,
there.
And she's like, all they have to do is be able to type. She says, not text, but type.
Yeah.
Well, well, that's my baby. I created that. But my point here is this, folks, is that we as a people have always been struggling for full citizenship.
Yes.
Although we're born here, we're still struggling for full citizenship and dignity in our nation. And what I mean, so some people may listen to, I'll be in the ear, hearing on my voice and say, well, Dr. Bradley, what do you mean by that? I mean that the institutions that are actually created to service us do not service us to the extent that it serves other folks.
Yes.
So therefore, you are not seen in an institution as a full citizen. So therefore, you don't get the full service.
But it was never designed.
That's it. It was never designed for that purpose. So I say all that to say that all the issues that we're seeing that's happening in our society, in order for us to correct those issues, we got to look within our institutions and say, okay, our criminal justice system, our housing system, our education system, we all have to be treated as citizens equally.
Yeah.
And as he said earlier, like, it's a combination of both. We have to take the responsibility, but we also have to hold them accountable and how they interact and treat us.
Right, but that's a delicate balance, like I said, because when you have folks who are basically saying these are the enemies, they're taking over this country. You have the leading contender for the Republican nomination for president of the United States, former president of the United States, he has a very big bully pulpit and a microphone that he can yell into, saying, like I said the other day, he basically said that these folks coming over here, basically that if they get involved with Americans, that they're going to poison our blood. The blood. Not even looking at us, but I know who he's talking about.
But if America's so great, if America is the beacon of hope that it is, like, it shouldn't be afraid. Like, didn't Roosevelt say there's nothing to fear but fear itself? Why is he stroking the flames of fear?
Because racism is real in this country, and that's what sells.
Well, then we got to tell the people to be braver. And smarter.
America's exceptionalism is something that white Americans try to protect at all times. There's no question about that. All right, but what we have to realize is that the system was designed in the understanding that we're less than human.
Right.
You see, and when the system is designed that way, regardless of when it was designed, when people working in the system believes that, then they're going to treat you that way. So what we have to understand as a people, we have to force our representation in our society to be truthful. To be full, not just say, okay, I'm not going to tolerate this. And you do it multiple ways. Voting is only one of them. You know what I mean? But you also got to call it out. You also can't not tolerate it when it's happening.
Absolutely.
You say, well, that's just the way it is. No, it shouldn't be that way.
And you can't just wait till it happens to you.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden it becomes
and
a
if
problem.
it happens to anyone,
in
it's a
front of
problem
you,
for all of us.
Right.
Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice.
That's what we have to look at. You know what I mean? We have to stop actually saying, feeding into the whole idea of race. I don't use the term when I'm addressing people. Even in my classrooms, I do not use the term race. I use multicultural. I may use ethnicity, but I never say America is a multiracial society. No, it's one race, Homo sapiens.
Yes,
it's Homo sapiens.
Yes, we're all Homo sapiens.
So I do not use it. I wouldn't. What really separates us is our cultural values,
right?
Our ethnicities. But but everything started from Africa.
Right.
It's just that simple. So if I'm an African American, I'm taking this from Smokey. If I'm an African American, well, the Chinese guy is an African Chinese.
Yes. Right.
Or the Italian guy is an African Italian. The Irish guy is an African, because it all starts from Africa. And then, so what we have to understand, and this is my last point, is that when we feed into that pseudo division of people by race, we're feeding into the system itself of division.
Yeah.
Don't use it.
I like that analogy, because when you guys are talking, I'm like, okay, if it was so much difference in us, if we had the same blood type, we can have a
And I'm like, if it wasn't meant to be, when a male and female got together, if the races weren't meant to mix, nothing would come out.
Well, it's a good example, and he's right, because when a donkey mates with a horse, they get a mule.
Yes,
but that mule can't reproduce.
Yep.
Mule cannot reproduce.
Wow,
all right. So God has already instilled into our existence perpetuation. If we are not the same, then when a white man mates with a black woman, they will produce a child who could not produce, but that child can produce. So therefore, we are the same.
Yes.
Wow.
It's just crazy.
Wow.
But we feed into that pseudo division or that political,
it's a class and caste
different
system.
classes.
That's a good money raiser for the other side. You're listening to the Roundtable with them. The calling number here is 617-282-0685. 617-282-0685. I want to say good morning to Patrick Wilson out there. Good morning, my brother. I appreciate you tuning in. I mean, this is real, and with this immigration situation, and I think for those of us who are people, black people, we know what it's like to be discriminated against, because it continues in our lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the balance is, like, because I hear black people saying, hey, those people, and I'm like, okay, and I start to cringe, and because I don't think they really understand what they're feeding into when you start calling them those people, and that somehow they're not worthy of the American dream, right? And you see my air quotes if you're watching, is that people, not everyone is, if you buy into that everyone coming across the border is a criminal. Like I said, you need an orderly process. I'm in law enforcement. You retired from efficient, but it never goes out of your system. Rhodes is a law and order person, so is Pastor Hobbs. What we're saying is that there has to be a process, and I think regardless of what side of the aisle you stand on, Democrat, Republican, Independent, I think all of us can agree that we cannot have it coming in the way it is. It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
And as well, it is a national security, because we don't know who is in the country.
Yeah.
Israel right now this morning is dealing with an issue because didn't know who had gotten into the country. So you do have to protect your borders and have an orderly and lawful way of people coming into the country. I mean, I don't disagree with.
I'm not against that.
No, I know you.
I think what I'm saying to our black folks in America, there was a time where the South was very inhospitable to us. There was a time that we had to cut camp and retreat and leave because it was hostile. You know what I mean? It was not healthy. In fact, the whole word woke came about. Right. Yeah, exactly. Came about because we could not travel. Just don't lose sight of your history. As people, what make a mother or a father put their children on the road walking for 3,000 or 4,000 miles to get to a refuge? What's happening in that place? And I can guarantee you, when you look at that place, it looks eerily similar to what happened to our people back in even to this day in the South.
Right.
So don't lose sight of that.
And I bring that up because, we talk quite a bit about mass and caste. And I'm like, hey, if we can't even fix our own problem down here, if we can't shelter and we can't get that situation under control, and we can't house those folks, how are we going to provide adequate housing and stuff? Like when one of the stunts from Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, he's being sued, was when he dropped all those folks off down on Martha's Vineyard. See, we don't need stunts. We don't need people as props. I think that is so wrong to exploit people's situation for political reasons, right? Political gain, yeah. You didn't send them there to help them, but you represented it that you were sending them there because it was going to be this, welcoming wagon and all of these resources, and people get there and find out they're on their own. There was no one even knowing they're coming, but that's the shenanigans. But I do understand people's feelings when they're being overwhelmed. And like I said, you're not just seeing it in Republican states and cities, you're seeing it in Democrats. The mayor of New York flew down to Mexico. It's not going to stop anything. I think, he wants like he's doing something, as well as the governor. And even here in Massachusetts, like I said, all of the hotels, there's an Army-Navy game coming up at Foxborough Station in December. December. Okay. And folks have already been told that their reservations,
60 rooms have been canceled.
Yeah, this causes more division, and now that is a lot of times designed to build this hate against folks. And you're labeling everyone in this manner, and these folks, you don't even know, because somebody may look different than you, that they're not an American citizen.
But the fact is that they're using the inconvenience of like, hey, your hotel room has been canceled,
right,
to kind of perpetuate look at what they're doing to your lives. Look how they're like affecting your well-being and everything. And it's like, in the grand scheme of things, these people are looking for refuge, and you're just there. Like, not saying that veterans can't watch a game or whatever, but you have access to the game through TV, through video, or you don't necessarily have to be there. As a matter of fact, I think it's saving you money, It's like,
stay home.
Just stay home.
I live in the town. I don't go to stadiums.
So. I was thinking, actually, when they, in fact, they're playing tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon.
1 o'clock game, yeah.
I was like, Larry and Monique must be saying, not another game.
And they've had quite a few concerts.
I can imagine, it's Taylor was over there, wasn't she?
Yeah, for a couple of days.
There was a Spanish artist who, when I was driving home the other day, and we're going to grab this call, and I'm like, my God, it's just traffic. I didn't know, but they said the group is equivalent to Taylor Swift.
Is that right?
And I mean, these kids,
in the Spanish community?
Yes. She's as popular as Taylor Swift. And I mean, I hadn't seen a crowd like that since Taylor Swift was performing.
Wow. How about Beyonce? Wasn't she there?
Beyonce was there, but it was there was a lot of young. This was at night as well.
Yeah.
But there was a lot younger crowd for Taylor Swift, and so with the younger crowd, like with the older crowd, when you get, it's just like you and your wife go. With the older crowd, it's you and your wife, and then your kids want to. So it's a family affair. So there's even more people. Like you might go to Beyonce with just you and your wife. These are designed so the parents have to take their kids because the young kids can't drive.
So everybody getting money.
Here you go. Instead of two people,
that's how Disney was like.
Oh my God.
Well, Disney originally he started like as one of those Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
And then when the movies came out,
the
Nickelodeons were, first of all, it was like mostly pornography.
Yeah.
All right, and then that's why he changed his business models, because he's like, if I make family movies, I get 5 instead of 1 person. It was all about the money.
Let's grab this.
$5 instead of $1.
All right, T. Michael. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
That's why I always say great show, and I'm always listening.
Okay.
It's something that what you guys are constantly, the interesting subjects. But the part where I want to squeeze in, once again, is what is happening or not happening in Boston. A lot of the focus is on symbols, names, paint, all of this stuff. And we have billions of dollars in construction. And the reason I'm saying this, I drove by Freeport Street as normal, and I watched the electrical apprenticeship program in transition, a break, whatever it is. And the bodies that I saw going into the building from the parking lot. And you had a couple flies in the bowl of milk.
Okay, I know what you mean by
and
that.
I'm sitting there, and I'm watching, and I keep saying, like the broken record, we have $4 trillion coming out of the Biden administration for labor, and I'm watching all these other folks is gearing up their kids and their kids' kids to continue that generational wealth. And here we have People's Academy keeps beating the drums on let's get folks involved into the construction industry, which is the key to the middle class. And all of these leaders we have is focusing on those smoke and mirrors and the trinkets.
Yeah.
It's sad.
It is sad. So
we are our worst enemy.
Yeah. So with this immigration, T-Mac, before we grab to the call, would that? I mean, we're not even servicing the folks here, so I guess it's probably a mute question. Is that would that add to the number of people you would be having to look to maybe get trained up? People who are coming here who are looking for that American dream of trying to provide for their family. But if we can't get it working for the folks here, I don't see how we extend it to others. I could be wrong.
And thank you. For me, I'm an immigrant, but I'm a legal immigrant. My father's an American. I got my legal citizenship. I've been through the process. I work hard like everyone else. But there are people here whose family, who have worked, they fell through the crack, fell through hardship, whatever their situations is, they should be priority. But other country, I honestly think that black people here should not pay any more taxes, or if not, there should be a focus on uplifting and creating opportunities for black people.
I'm all for that.
Because they have suffered long enough and been ignored or continue to be everything else is a priority other than black opportunities and upliftment, and that is a problem. It's criminal.
Can you hold on a second when we bring this other call in? Good morning, Cliff. Welcome to the roundtable. I know this is something that has got your juices flowing, so I'm great to hear from you, my brother.
How you doing?
Good. Guys? So, like I said, I was telling Dr. Bradley earlier, this is Hispanic Heritage Month, which kind of confused me because it started in the middle of the month and going to the middle of October. I don't know, strategically make it look like it's longer. But I think it ties in with this immigration situation as well, because people who are, quote unquote, don't look like the average American, not sure what that means, is always ostracized. No, your thoughts?
Well, first of all, this whole immigration thing is like, from my perspective, is my parents and my grandparents and my whole family's from Honduras, and Honduras right now is in a political uproar. It's and everybody's escaping. We're not just escaping because escaping political violence, and I'm questioning, like, okay, when people from Central America has it hardest the most. We're not all criminals. We're all working people.
So Cliff, let me just interrupt you there. Why is it, and because like I said, I don't know the area, why is it so difficult in the South American countries? Because you're right, this is where this influx is coming from. What is it that is causing this, if you know?
The influx is causing it because America just has its doors wide open. When you have your door wide open and you're telling people, come on in, they're gonna come. So if you, Larry, if you're telling me, well, Cliff, my door is wide open, so you just come on in, I'm gonna think that.
That's why I tell my relatives there's no room, because I know they would take me up on it. No, I guess what I'm saying is that what is it that is not working in these countries? Like, okay, you're from Honduras. What is it that is not economically beneficial for me to stay there? Because for people go there for tourism, right? So we said, okay, there is money being pumped into there. What is it for the local people that is not being produced or replicated that is available here in the United States that cannot be replicated there where they are? That they have
jobs. That's the main issue down there. Jobs.
Okay.
Because the job market is not like America's job market. It's hard to get a job down there, and if you're kind of like in your 30s down there, they consider that old.
Wow. So I'm a relic.
They consider that old down there. So it's a lack of jobs down there, and it's a lack of opportunities down there. So,
but Larry, can I jump in here right quick on that? In Boston, when you go on every job site, a high percentage of the workers are not from Boston or live in Boston. But the problem is, and say whatever you want, the focus is to oppress and suppress black people in particular. That's the problem, but that's the elephant in the room that no one wants to talk about. Look at Boston. Robbery is up, gun violence is up, in mass incarceration. It's unemployment has been the worst since the 60s for black people in Boston. But it's in a booming economy. But they will come up with things to save the trees, save the cows. That's not even to save everything, but not address systemic genocide and systemic modern-day slavery against black people.
Wow.
It's not being talked about, not being addressed. Everything else is a problem. Mass incarceration is less than 10 years old.
You're right.
Look at the issues with black people. Look around. They walk out of their homes. We all walk out, and we're watching. People are making $70, $80, $100+ an hour Saturdays and Sundays on these jobs, and we can't even get a job.
Right, and
or
so,
get an opportunity.
Right, so the reason why I want to tie this in there, right? Because this is part of the conversation. It says down in Brockton, right? So Brockton schools, Dr. Bell, I know this is going to be of interest to you as well as Rose. Layoffs caused by budget deficits in the Brockton public schools, subsequent hiring delays have left students during some class periods without a teacher or with a teacher aide in charge. The district's enrollment in predominantly black or Hispanic at understaffed Brockton High School class periods in which students do not have a course on their schedule are labeled teacher absent without sub. During these times, teenagers are left to their own devices. An adult familiar with the situation estimated that hundreds of high school students face this situation. And the reason why I flagged that is because these are most likely because communities that will see an influx of folks coming from other countries because they find commonality in the language and things of that nature, and it's already past its breaking point, right? So if you're coming from Honduras or Cape Verde, because a lot of Cape Verdeans in Brockton or the DR, and you're coming there and you're required to educate your kids in a system that's already broken, is your situation improving or has it just gotten worse? Cliff?
It got worse because let me address this too. Because if you're coming from the countries that you mentioned, and there's no teachers that have the same exact language in that curriculum, then it's like, okay, say when I came here, I spoke just Spanish, but there was no Spanish teachers that could, translate for me sometimes. So I had to translate to English. But my point being, if you don't have teachers that are, Spanish or Cape Verdean or something like that, then that child comes from Cape Verde or wherever and could only speak that language, then we have a problem. We need to hire more bilingual teachers, and we're not doing that.
Right, but Cliff, in Brockton's situation, like I said, they're saying they're laying off. So there is no one coming. This is what I'm saying. So if I'm coming here and immigrating and migrating and I end up in Brockton, this is what I can expect. I mean, I'm thinking I'm coming here for the American dream. My child is going to get educated, and they're going into a school system that is collapsing. So it's not like they're not even hiring subs because they don't have the money. They're not replacing a teacher because they took the day off. There is no teacher to replace. This is the norm, and this isn't getting the attention. This is what I'm saying is that we're going to put more of a burden on school systems that are already, like, they're not Boston that has a $1.4 billion budget and is drowning. Right. It's not a money problem, but where we're seeing here is a willingness to get things done.
If the parents would say, okay, why is it that y'all are failing? it's up to the parents' job to know that what's going on in their kids' schools. If I was a parent, I would be like, okay, why are y'all failing?
Mm-hmm.
Why are y'all failing our kids? Why are y'all not? Where's the money going?
Right.
Where's the money going? Where's the money coming from? As a parent, I want to know.
Right. So, Dr. Bradley, it goes on to say on their daily schedule, and all this is for all of you, because this I'm saying this is not getting the attention. This is ties in on their daily schedule of 6 blocks. That means classes. Mm-hmm. Students can have up to 3 off.
Half of them.
Half of their school curriculum is not even being taught. So we're setting up a fate. Now, T. Michael, I know you were taught in negotiations down in Brockton with your program, right? How is that going?
We completed the task, but the problem is that the monies, for instance, linkage money, look at all the cranes. It's at the mayor's discretion. But that money goes to the city, D&D. They push it into affordable housing, the CDCs, who each one of them owns over 400 plus multi-unit properties, etc. They filter the money into other places. They don't tell us. It's the same reason why certain communities within Massachusetts are doing extremely well, and certain black and brown communities are failing because they decide not to put the monies and the resources in there. Their way about it is let them kill each other, so then we don't have to spend the money and waste the money there. And that's the problem. The leadership doesn't value these black and brown lives as the same as others, and that's the problem.
So Cliff,
priorities.
Yeah, Cliff. Rhodes is in studio here. He was talking about his family background history is in Haiti, and it doesn't seem to be any different. And now you're saying, well, you know what? This is Honduras, these South America. I mean, what can we do to those of us here who actually want to see it orderly and we get it, like I said, it's human nature, is survival. What can be done, gentlemen, to help folks in your native countries who are still struggling? Because I know, like I said, one of my colleagues, I consider my brother, he was fortunate, and because he has the means to be able to bring a family member here from Haiti. When I saw him last night, I'm like, man, I can only imagine. You can clearly tell. I don't know if he's been here before, but things were, this was not a normal day. You can seem like a little uncomfortable in the sense that, relieved, I guess, that, he wasn't struggling in a way that, and then that you have family there struggling. It would be kind of hard for me to just enjoy life in the way that I do, knowing that there are folks who need help. How can folks help if they want to?
Well, first of all, I tell people, learn the history of any country. Mm-hmm. Learn the economics. Learn learn why is that country like that. And I have friends like, I can't wait to go to Honduras. I can't wait to go to Honduras. But I'm telling them it's not like America. If you haven't traveled outside of the United States in a long time, then you don't know a certain people's culture or a certain people's country. First of all, we need to get this immigration policy together. Okay, I applaud people for coming here legally. Mm-hmm. No, I don't. I applaud people for coming here legally. Mm-hmm. But in a way, the United States government has to stop playing kids games with people. Mm-hmm. If you're going to pass a strong immigration bill, pass it. Right. And I would like to see, and I don't know if this is going to happen, I would like to see the vice president and president go down to the border and say, okay, what is going on?
Well, they've done that. Our vice president has been tasked with trying to deal with this problem, but I think it's bigger than one person. And people, like you said, Dr. Bradley is our historian here, and he is our constitutional scholar here. That folks who don't realize is that it's Congress that has to fix the border. The president has very limited powers when it comes to. Now, they had more powers during COVID because you could shut it down for a public health issue. But am I right, Dr. Brown?
And he can only use his executive powers to do that. But when it comes down to passing a law, that issue, the bill you're speaking of, becomes a law only when it's actually taken up by Congress. And by the way, the Speaker of the House is the one who decides if it's going to be put into on the floor for a vote, and then passed by Senate, and then it's given to the president to sign. Right. The president has very limited authority in this situation.
And in Democrat or Republican, none of them seem to have had the willingness to deal with.
See, this is the point, and I'm having this discussion with my lovely. I have 5 sisters, and I love them all. Although one of them I'm not speaking to, but I still love her. I'm having this discussion with my sister right now. Who, and I'm saying to her, sis, it's not just the Joe Biden administration. The immigration issue on the southern border has been a problem in multiple administrations,
going back to Reagan and beyond.
Yes, because the president is not like a dictatorship where he can actually just wave a wand and say this is going to go. It has to go through a process, So it's really what I really want to see. I want to see the Speaker of the House go down there. I want to see the majority
and not
leader
just for a photo.
Yeah, the majority leader of the Senate, the minority leader of both chambers go down there along with him, and so they can get a feel for what's going on, because they're the ones who actually have to take it and pass it as a law, and then you can move it. So the president cannot fix the immigration law. It is the Congress that has to do that.
Well, when you said Speaker of the House, who's Speaker of the House? They just kicked that guy out.
Well, right now we don't have one. We have one. We have one in we have a temporary one.
Right.
One in tempora, which means
Right.
that he's a temporary one.
Right.
He doesn't really. He's not going to do anything as it relates to organizing bills that would be discussed on the House.
Limited.
He's very limited in his authority.
Yeah.
Because when y'all said this morning, it's the first time in history that a Speaker of the House got kicked out of his own party. I'm like, did this just happen?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we have a dictatorship. We got a couple of minutes. Cliff, T. Michael, any updates for the People's Academy or anything you want to share?
Yes,
before we let you.
We've been moving forward, and that's something too that you and I have to talk offline. But things are moving in a good direction. We've brought in some new folks, couple grant writers. It's looking good, but it's something that we need to talk offline.
Text me, and I have some time Monday or Tuesday. I can come meet you somewhere, and we can talk about it. Okay?
It's good stuff.
Okay.
But last thing I want to say is that what has worked in the past to address the immigration situation, certain resources were invested that gave folks the reason that they wanted to stay in their country, not leave.
Right.
But certain corporation, more or less, is poverty pimping out there and not paying the wages that they should. So that's why folks are running.
Don't sugarcoat it, T.
Poverty pimping.
Don't sugarcoat it. That's going to go on the back of the Trades Not Triggers t-shirt.
I'm telling you. Is that copywritten, man? Is that, copyright on that?
Get that trademark.
Wow. Got people's attention. But listen, it got your attention.
Poverty pimping. I hear you, Doc.
Well, thank you, T.
Well, like always, great show, and I will be listening.
I thought that was going to be his last word. There we go. Now we know he's done.
Now he's done. He's done.
All right, send me that text, T. Thank you.
I will. Thank you.
So, Cliff, we're going to, like I said, we're waiting for our guests to come, but we want to continue to talk about this. Again, I mean, I don't know how we fix it. We don't have the power here, but I think suggestions are always welcome, because what we're seeing, we know what's not working, and it's not. This has been going on far too long. And you're right. If you leave your door wide open, even burglars will break in. But if the door is open, it's just more of an invitation to come in. And you're right. I don't get it. I mean, we have to. Like I was saying, is that I agree with. If you're seeking asylum, you don't get to pick and choose. If you're the first country, according to our laws here, that is where you're supposed to seek asylum, in the first country. So it's not, I get it. You want to go to a better country, but if asylum is what you're seeking, that the law should be enforced in that regard.
And Larry, I always said this: we need to vote the right people in office. How many times I could stress that with people? Like, vote the right people in office, not the wrong one.
Right. Go back and look at our broadcast. We've been talking about. We continue to talk about it, and that's what's frustrating. Like I said, I did the polls recently in the primary. 34 people. That included absentee ballots, Cliff. how does that situation change? Now they're going to make this a political issue even here in Massachusetts, because folks are now seeing the impact of people who live on the borders. So,
we just need to fix it.
We do. Just need to can you stand by, Cliff? We're going to take our break.
Yeah, I'll stand by.
Okay. We're at time past off. Okay. You've been listening to At the Round Table with me. We're going to take our break. We'll be right back.
Anybody have any charge? Like, I'm losing power on my phone.
No, I came up from the bottom, always rooting for the underdog. I wrote 300 songs in 1 year. Boogie will tell you I'm on it. I got unreleased songs for days, they don't want it. Eat any MC in the game. It ain't a challenge if your music reflects who you are, then you's a coward. I can see through the lies, you ain't living what you spitting. If your money's so long, why your dog's in prison? Why your baby mom's stripping, why your mom's still living in that same broken home that you used to sell piffin'? You ain't gotta lie to me to sell me a track. You ain't gotta rock fake jewels or walk around strap. I respect artists getting money, but love them for spitting crack. And the fact that one track can move a family out the trap. It's a dream for us lost souls brought up in the mix. I'm motivated by the artists coming out in my midst, and the artists that paved the way when I didn't exist. Music's a skyscraper, I'm just trying to add a couple bricks. This is for the dreamers. They say I am a dreamer, cause I still believe that anything is possible as long as you work hard. Hustle real hard, hustle real hard, hustle real hard, hustle real hard. So if I never see ya, never get the chance to. No, I came up from the bottom, always